Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Quinn, and today we're going to be taking a look at another Transformers figure. This is the Transformers Studio Series 100 Deluxe Class Bumblebee from Transformers Rise of the Beast. Now, this is a figure that I bought impulsively. I was planning to get a different figure, and I didn't regret my purchase. I am aware of a KO of this mold, but it's an oversized version, and I don't have the figure to scale with it, so that's why I didn't pick it up. But regardless, it's nice to have another authentic Studio Series figure on my collection. And before we take a look at the figure, we need to take a look at the packaging. At the front, we have a nice CG render of Bumblebee with the Studio Series 100 line, some Transformers branding, and the Takara Tomy logo. Turning to the side, we have another awesome looking CG render of Bumblebee, ignoring the scratch marks. It was rough when unboxing this, with an Autobot logo at the top and the Transformers authentic seal at the bottom. On the back, we have the product shot of the figure, both the robot mode and car mode. We have the sticker of authenticity from GM, means that the car mode is a licensed 1977 Camaro, which is brilliant, and that he transformed in 23 steps, with the description reading, "Bumblebee blasts back hordes of Terrorcons in the heroic final stand," which is definitely what we saw during the volcanic showdown at the end of the movie. And finally, on the other side, we have a close-up shot of the CG render from earlier, with Studio Series 100 label, and states that he is a deluxe class. The backdrop is a nice render of the final battle scene, and you can put Bumblebee as a display or for some toy photography, up to you. Now let's take a look at the details. Hasbro did an incredible job designing and sculpting all the different mechanical details on this figure. The painting is nice, and the yellow plastic that they use works really well. The color of the plastic looks washed on camera, but in person it is bright and colorful. I got the newer batch with the fully painted face, and it's great to have this batch, and you can just see how much little bit more paint can improve a mold. Painted real nicely, and the eyes are picked out on this nice light blue color. Despite all of the incredible molded details, it's not without issue, but it's minor, don't worry. The right thigh is a bit loose for my taste, but it doesn't compromise the stability of the figure. It can still hold its position very well, and it's not overly loose. The left arm is loose on a certain angle, and this is just a nitpick, as when the hand is facing front forward, it's completely fine, but it's worth mentioning. On my copy, the left foot has some blemishes, but this could be because it's been sitting on the shelf for a while and it's just dust. I might have to clean it up. Those are some of the nitpicks, I should say, of this figure. Even so, the joints are solid, nothing is loose, and it can pose and hold its position very well. This figure comes with two accessories, and you can store it on the doors. First one being the Stinger Blaster, and this has been molded really well. I believe this is the same mold as the Bumblebee movie Studio Series figures, but I could be wrong about that. This was cast in the same yellow plastic as the rest of the figure, but painted in this nice gunmetal gray. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing to the sword, which is unpainted. Not a big problem for me, as you can paint it yourself. And to be fair, it has been sculpted very well. You can plug the sword on both hands with no problem. However, the Stinger Blaster can only be plugged to his right arm. Well, technically, you can plug it to his left arm, but you can only plug it upside down, and maybe you guys can make it work with the poses. Scale-wise, it is in scale with Studio Series 32, 38, and 102. I know these are knockoffs, but I'm talking about mold-wise. And they look great together. It fits well alongside the Bayverse Optimus despite it being in two different universes. And comparing it with my Studio Series 86 RC, I think it doesn't look too bad. This being a completely new mold, the engineering has been revised, and that's why he looks very proportional all around. I've never handled the Bayverse Studio Series mold, but I've heard the complaints about the engineering being complicated for its size and the horrendous color mismatch. And that's probably because the doors are casted in clear plastic and then they just painted it yellow. Now on this figure, the doors are been redone, with the clear plastic and the door it being separate parts, so no ugly color mismatch, which is awesome. And with it being a completely new mold, the articulation is better than Bayverse Studio Series. So with this being a completely new mold, the posability has been engineered really nicely. So you got a ball joint on the head, just like this, which has some really nice range. You could look up that far and look down that far. The doors can also move independently with each other, which is nice. The shoulder is on this weird ball joint at the end, so it has some really weird ball joint. So in other words, you can rotate it up that and back about that far, because it's been hindered by the tires. You can go about that far, and due to transformation, it can also hinge downwards. Maybe you guys can work it some way, but I don't see the use case for this. You got a bicep swivel over here, and this is what I mean about it being loose. There we go. You have a single jointed bend at the elbow, 90-degree bend, and it has a waist swivel, and you need to take this out. You need to move this out of the way before you can activate the waist, which is really nice to see. The legs can kick forward and then kick about that far. Just move about this piece to get even more of bark. You got a thigh rotation, single jointed bend at the knee, which is nice, and it is very satisfying. As you can see, it's kind of ratcheted, but it's nice. It's super solid. Deluxe can have this rotation and due to transformation, and then you can also have some pivot. It doesn't have any up and down ankle movement, but I don't mind about it, to be honest. But usability, this guy is superposable, and I do really like enjoying this guy, handling this guy. So the robot mode is absolutely fantastic, one of the best Studio Series molds I've ever handled, and the car mode is no slouch also as well. Transformation is very pleasant. Now this is a completely new mold, no tooling is being shared, but it shares engineering like the door and front wheels. And I love how they are able to make the legs proportional in robot mode while also making a very nice and pleasing transformation. I genuinely like how the legs is engineered. All the taps are solid and everything snapped into place, and the QC on the figure is astonishing. But I have one problem with it, that being the taps to form the back windshield. It's hard. I had a hard time when first time transforming this because the tap is so thick. So I'd recommend to sand it down, and that way you can plug it easily while also not being loose. I probably will make a transformation tutorial for this in the future, but if I have the time, we'll see. Car mode is superb. I've always loved the 1977 Camaro, even the Bayverse one, and it's amazing how they're able to capture the Camaro's proportion very well. Unfortunately, the wheels, at least on my copy, can't roll very well due to it being plugged on wheels. I would rather much prefer it being pinwheels. You have some slight color mismatch on the front windshield, but it's not noticeable when looked from afar, and it's not visible in robot mode, so it's fine. I'm completely fine with it. One thing I noticed is that the hood of the vehicle has the small gaps, and the bar's not lined up with the hood. I don't know if this is because I didn't line it up properly when transforming it, or maybe it is designed that way. I've seen other copies test this, so this could be an intentional design. Let me know down in the comments. Weapon storage is alright, just like any other weapon storage in every Transformers figure. Ruined the proportions, but appreciate it. The sword plugs into the legs and the Stinger Blaster plugs to the back. Now I have mixed feelings with the way that the Stinger Blaster is stored, because it could potentially scratch the paint. Even though the paint, from my experience, is extremely durable. Yes, the strap on the top is not accurate to the movie, but to be honest, I like it that way. Of course, I gotta talk about the kibble. The head is screen accurate, by the way. It's very messy. I can't complain too much about this, to be honest, because of the deluxe class budget that they have to work with, but it is noticeable from the side, which kind of breaks the illusion. Despite my critiques, it's a solid car mode, and I can understand all the sacrifices and compromises to be made. I bet they paid a lot to GM to make this car mode look awesome, and that kind of more than makes up the issue I had with this guy. So, some final thoughts on this figure. I think this is a phenomenal release. I got this for 370,000 rupees or 23-ish dollars, and with that price, I think it's a worthy pickup. Yes, it has issues, but in the grand scheme of things, it's very relevant. You could also use it as a stand-in for the Bayverse Transformers also as well. If you could pick this up, even at a retail price, it's very good and I highly recommend it. If you could get this at a discounted price, like I did, then it's 10 times more worth it. That's gonna be my review of the Transformers Studio Series 100 Deluxe Class Bumblebee. I hope you enjoyed it and find it useful, and I'll see you guys next time.